Hello again, this is Craig from Ultra Real Assets. I'm going to be demonstrating some of the additional features of Mesh Tools for Surforge. Now originally I did not design Mesh Tools to be used to create detail prefabs. It originally was a tool just designed to fix a particular problem that I ran into while bringing meshes into Surforge. It can still be used for this, and I'll give a demonstration of this. Alright. Now, if you're familiar with using 3D models and 3D modeling applications external from Unity, especially if you use 3D Studio Max, you'll notice that sometimes the meshes come in at odd orientations. This is due to the coordinate systems being different between different 3D programs. For example, the models I bring in are from 3D Studio Max, and Max's orientation is Z is up, whereas Unity, Y is up. So Unity does a correction when it imports the FBX files, where it corrects this by applying a 90-degree translation to the transform that the mesh is attached to. Unfortunately, Surforge does not use models with transforms. It uses the base mesh file, and let me show you an example of why this is a problem. Alright, so here, let's see if I can... Okay, so here is a space fighter cockpit model that I have, and you notice that if I pull it out into the project, it doesn't have a material on it, but if I pull it out into the project, you'll notice that it is actually facing upwards. It's kind of hard to see here. Okay, so it's actually facing correctly in the scene, but if I just take the model and drag it out into here, you'll notice that the orientation is completely, well, it's not scaled, but the orientation is completely wrong. Unfortunately, since Surforge only works with meshes, if I go to the render tab here and I bring in this seat object, you'll notice that it's facing the wrong way. Now, as I've experienced in trying to texture with this error in the facing is really frustrating. So what I did was I made this tool, this mesh tool here. If you go up to the window, Ultra Real Assets Tools, this will bring up a little window. Now it will allow you to select a mesh. I'll just dock this here. You can select a mesh. I'm going to select this seat low, and you'll notice it'll come to life here. Now, I can edit this mesh directly, but I don't really want to do that. I want to create a new mesh that I'm going to use as my UV mesh. So I'm going to save a new. It's going to create a copy of that down here, and I'll just call it UV at the end. Okay, then I'm going to take this mesh, put it in here instead, and it's not going to look any different because there hasn't been any changes to it yet. All right. And then with this mesh still selected, I put the default in here for this value for what I need. So if I hit it, -90, you'll notice that it will now pop to the correct orientation. There's other things you can do with this as well. For example, you can force it to recenter, or to completely recenter the mesh, so it is not, it's going to be at the center of the mesh's bounding box. You can also force it to rescale the mesh to kind of a uniform bounding box scale. See, in this case, it will take and scale the entire mesh to fit within a 10-meter box. Now, that may not be what you're looking for, but like say in a case like this is too small, or like maybe you have a mesh in Surforge that is just too gigantic and you just need to shrink it. Well, in this case, I need to expand it, so I'm going to make it larger. Yeah, we'll make it 100. There we go. So we're back to where we were before. But that is the additional tools of Surforge, and you can use them or not use them. I ended up focusing more on the more interesting feature, which was the prefab creation. But these tools are still there to use if you want to experiment with them. Keep in mind they only work on meshes. They do not work on objects within the hierarchy. You can select the mesh within the hierarchy. Let me give you an example of this. Let's say I created a shape with Pro Builder here. And let me focus on that. Okay, so there's our shape. There's our shape. This is a procedurally generated mesh. You can take and find the mesh in here, double click it, and now you'll be able to save it just like we did the other one and call it mesh box or whatever you want. And then you could use that in Surforge. It's just a box. So this will basically convert any procedural object, any procedural mesh you have. Maybe you have a program that does spline meshes or something and you want to bake out the mesh. It will do that. All right, that's it.